Today I want to show you a book on making different projects with rope. Hi, I'm Kim Jamison Hurst of Chatterbox Quilts, and today we are taking a look at Zigzag Rope Sewing Projects, 16 Home Accessories to Make with a Simple Stitch, and it's by Catherine Lyle. Now I know it's not a quilting book, but it's a lot of fun to make things with rope. I've got to admit, I've made several bowls with, like clothesline rope. And this book has a lot of interesting ideas in it and a lot of details that I haven't seen in some other books that show you how to use rope to make these different, or to make different projects, I should say. So let's take a look inside. And at the front, there's a lot of information about the different types of rope you can get and what she suggests that you use, and she shows you why. So there's different types of content in these ropes. She likes to use 100% cotton rope, but she shows you the differences here and why she likes to use them. So, for example, these solid braid ropes, she likes to use those because they have a dense structure that easily holds stitches. Okay, so it gives you a sturdy final project. But you also see these twisted ropes like twine and macrame cord, but they're a looser weave, so they don't stand up as well. They don't really hold the stitches as well, and they're not going to give you a solid an end result. And then there are the diamond braid ropes. So you see clothesline. Okay, I talked about clothesline, right? Those can work for sewn rope projects, but the end results will be less sturdy than the projects created with solid braid ropes. And she shows you lots of different examples of sewing them together with the 3 different types of cords, so you have a really good understanding of what she's talking about. And one of the things that I really liked about this book was these different, there's lots of photos in here. When she talks about something, she's got a photo to explain it. And so I thought that was really helpful, especially when she's talking about how sturdy these projects will be with the different types of rope. So she's taking this gigantic spool of thread. It weighs 12.1 ounce. Okay, so some of these projects are, to hold things in them, right? They're baskets for different things that you might put in them, from, your electronics to bread, let's say, okay? But at 12.1 ounces, so almost, I guess almost a pound. It's a pound? No, is a pound 8 ounces or 16? Okay, I'll have to look into that and get back to you. Anyway, it's a heavy spool of thread, okay? And she puts it on top of a bowl she's made with the 3 different types of rope. So you can see here really easily, she's flipped the bowl upside down, obviously, so you can see it's on the bottom of the bowl. And you can see what happens when you put that heavy thread on top of that bottom of the bowl. So when she uses her solid braid rope that she likes to use, you can see how it doesn't go down at all. When you get to the diamond braid, it goes down a bit, and then the twisted rope is kind of hopeless. So you can see why she suggests that certain type of rope to use. And you've got some close-up views there too, so that you can understand why she's recommending that type of rope. So I thought this whole information, all this information at the front, was really helpful for you to make the right decision, because you don't want to put all the effort into making your project and then finding it's not going to stand up later on. Okay. She also shows you different types of sewing machines and why, or what you should consider when you're deciding what machine to use. Now, you may not have a choice, but if you're someone who has vintage machines like I do, then I might be wanting to pull out one of my vintage machines to make some of these projects, and this is why. Here's one of the more modern machines. They typically have quite a wide head on them, whereas some of the older ones don't. They're more narrow. And when you're making bowls, you want to have curved sides depending on the angle you want on them. If you're using one of the newer machines that has a wider head, you're not able to pull that bowl up. As you can see here, you're not able to pull the bowl up as much when you're making it, so you're not going to be able to get, a straight side easily. Okay, there are some ways to get around it, but if you have a vintage machine, you can see the difference with that head, how narrow it is, and you're able to pull that bowl, the bottom up, right at basically 90 degrees, so that your bowl sides are going to be nice and straight the way you want them to be. So that's kind of interesting too. She also talks about zigzag stitches, which ones you should use, and she talks about the widths you need to use to make these different projects. So a ton of information in the front of this book, which is really, really helpful to get you off on the right foot making your projects. Some of the things she does in this book is she will dye some of the bowls or part of the bowls. So she talks about using different dyes to do that, and also some other little embellishments you might want to use on some of these projects. I'll say bowls quite frequently because that's what I think of when I think of rope projects, but we're making other things in here too. Now she shows you how to start off a round project, because you have to start with a base and then you will add to it and then eventually put sides on it. So she gives you lots of information on how to do that. As a matter of fact, she gives you 3 different ways to do it. Also very helpful. And I like the fact that she has how to start an oval project in here, because if you want to make like a bread bowl or something, they want to have it oval. How do you do that? And it all starts with that little base. So you have to get the base right to create the shape of the bowl that you want to make. So you can see all these detailed photos, really, really helpful so that you'll know exactly what to do to get off on the right foot. Okay. Another thing you can do with these, I talked about dyeing them, well, you can wrap fabric, and you often see this. So she tells you how to wrap fabric around the rope and different methods of doing that to add interest to your project, and then she'll be showing you how you use that in different projects. Remember I talked about shaping the projects and creating different sides? She talks about that. Again, she has that photo of the two different kinds of sewing machines. So she talks about how you can do that, you know, because you have to tilt them on different angles to do it, and a lot of details on that too. But of course, what we really want to get into is the projects. What I liked about this book too is the fact that she starts you off with simple projects, and you're kind of working, you know, through ones that are a little bit more complicated. The easiest thing to do is to make coasters, because that's basically the base of any of your projects you're going to make. The other thing I noticed in this book is you'll have handles on some of these projects, and she shows you a variety of different ones, and I thought that was really interesting. I'm going to show you some of those too. Even the little coasters, you've got to finish it off. Okay, when you're done sewing, you've got to finish it off somehow, so she's got the little loop there. You notice in these ones here, you can see in the pictures here where she's used different colored thread, something else you can do to add interest to your project. Again, detailed photos of how she starts off, how she goes along, how she was ending that, and also some other ideas. So you can see different color thread here through the whole project rather than matching the thread color to the rope. Or what about just a certain thread color in the center and then match the rope? Or how about something in the center, match the rope, and then do a different thread color again around the outside? There are lots of different ways to have fun when you're making these projects. Next thing, she makes basically a coaster but bigger, so it's a trivet. But what we're doing here is we're starting to add some of that fabric. She's wrapping some of the fabric around the rope, and she calls this a confetti trivet. You can see because that's what it looks like. But she's going to take you through how to make that step by step, showing you how to wrap the fabric and when to wrap the fabric, okay? And again, how she's finishing that off. I thought it looked really cool, that project. That was really fun. Great way to use up fabric scraps. Now she has a dip dye bowl. Okay, so one of the other projects in the book, I mentioned how she's dyeing it. She's only dyeing part of this. So she's going to make the bowl. Notice the different little ending there on that one. And then she's going to dip it, only part of it though, as much as you want really, into the dye and let it set. And then she's talking about how you can vary the size of the bowl, and if you do, how much rope you're going to need. So you need a little bit more rope for some of those sizes. If you make them a bit bigger, she'll often give you that information too. I thought this was kind of interesting. This is a hanging plant stand. So while you might have made this with macrame back in the day, right? She's showing you how you can make this. And again, you've got some different, I should say a different handle shape on these, okay? So she shows you how to make these kind of handles, which when she's showing you these different ones, you can use them on any of the projects really, okay? So you could use this on just a regular bowl, which is basically what that is so far, until she continues on with it and shows you how to put it all together with the hanging rope and everything. So you can see it's done at the end. So it's not like she's just making the bowl and says, okay, now hang it up. She's showing you how to put all the cording in it and everything so that you can have it completely done. Okay, another project, I talked about different handles here, these knot handles here, and then these embellishments on the side for this bread basket. Really cool. A lot of the things you can do with these, you can do them very simply and then add some interesting handles on them, and that gives that detail and interest to the project. Okay, remember I said you could put your electronics in these. Here's a charging caddy. Again, a different little finish there. And she's also got the little split here. She's going to tell you how to do that so you can actually put it through and plug it in so you don't have your cord going up and over the basket. And you notice this is an oval basket, so we've got a different shape going on here. This is also fun, a tricolor Easter basket. So you've got 3 different colors happening on that basket, interesting handles as well, but how she's doing that is by changing her thread as she goes along. So she's going to tell you, you're going to sew until you get to a certain place, and then you're going to change, a certain height, I should say, in this case 1.5 inches tall on the sides. Then you're going to stop and change your thread for the next section, and then you'll measure that, and then you'll change your thread for the final one. But there's no lack of information and the photos are wonderful in this book. Makes it so easy to follow along with what she's doing. I thought the design on the end of this braided basket tray was really pretty. I would love to put that design on any project, really. And she shows you how to make that braid. So you're going to make the bowl first, then you're going to add this braid. So you can see she's even showing you how to measure for the length of the rope you're going to need. And because when we make these, you know, some of the bowls may be a different size when we're done than what hers were, so she tells you how to accommodate for that too. So she doesn't leave you hanging. Speaking of hanging, there's a hanging wall pocket. I thought these were fun as well. She's got little plants in these. I could see putting these, like she's got the back door with your keys in them, I thought would be handy. So a really interesting shape on these, and she explains how she makes that. As she goes along, she's going to show you how to make that little pocket, and then you're going to do some little squeezing here and sew it together to get those little angles there. Really fun, something really different. Haven't seen anything like that before made with rope. And then we get to the last project in the book, and I haven't shown you all of them, by the way, but the last project in the book is this colorful market tote. So again, you've got some dyeing of the rope going on here. Really nice and bright, that one. Fun handles there. And I gotta say, if you make a tote like this out of the rope, it's gonna last forever. Like, this stuff is really, really durable. And you could customize this and put whatever color you would like on those different parts of it. So lots of customization available on these projects. Lots of useful projects in this book as well. And I really liked all the different details she has for ending the project. So if you would like to try some rope sewing, and it's really fun, I gotta say, a bit addictive, I would recommend you check out Zigzag Rope Sewing Projects by Catherine Lisle. I'll put a link above and in the description below so you can take a look and maybe even get your own copy. Thanks so much for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your quilting friends. And remember to subscribe and hit the bell so you'll be notified the next time I release a new video. And before you go, check out these other videos I've included just for you. For more helpful quilting information, be sure to go to my website at www.chatterboxquilts.com.